Let's talk about something that's been happening right under our noses. It's this slow, quiet disappearance of ownership. It feels like everything, from the software in our computers to the cars in our driveways, is shifting from something you buy once to something you rent forever.
So let me start with a statement that might sound a little nuts. You don't actually own your car. And no, I'm not talking about if you're leasing it or if you still have a car loan. I mean the car that you paid for, in full, the one that's sitting outside right now.
And what I'm really talking about is the heated seats. Yeah, the actual hardware, the wires, the heating elements, it's all in there. It was installed at the factory, ready to go. But if you want to actually turn them on, well, that's going to cost you.
This isn't a hypothetical. BMW actually tried to do this. They wanted to charge a monthly subscription of $18 just to let you use the heated seats that were already physically built into the car you bought. Now, the public backlash was, huge, and they did back down, but only for now.
Look, BMW's little experiment might have failed, but what it really was a warning shot. It was a sign of a much, much bigger trend. They just jumped the gun a little. Because this idea, the idea of turning a physical product you already own into a recurring fee, it's now spreading like wildfire.
I mean, think about it. We've all gotten used to subscriptions for our software, our music, our movies. But the list has gotten so much longer without us even noticing. Now it's your doorbell. It's, get this, your toothbrush. No, I'm serious. Some smart toothbrushes lock features behind a subscription. It has just crept into every single corner of our lives.
So how in the world did we get here, right? This wasn't some kind of accident. This was a plan. There was a very specific moment, a tipping point, where one company made a decision that basically created the blueprint for this entire economic model. And that moment was back in November of 2011. For decades, if you wanted Adobe Photoshop, you just bought it. You paid a one-time fee, and it was yours forever. But then they launched something called Creative Cloud. And just like that, the most essential tool for millions of creative professionals was only available as a monthly subscription. The second you stop paying, your software just stops working.
And why do they do it? Well, the reason becomes crystal clear when you just look at the math. Under the old model, a single customer was worth about $2,000 over their lifetime. With subscriptions, though, that value shot up to $6,000. That is a 300% increase in revenue from the exact same person for the exact same product. The signal to every other company out there was loud and clear. This is how you print money.
So Adobe's success created this playbook that just spread across the entire economy. It started with software, of course. Then it jumped over to media. And now it's making the final leap to the physical hardware that we all thought we owned. It's a conquest that happened in 3 very predictable phases. Okay, so step 1 was software. You saw companies like Microsoft follow Adobe's lead pretty quickly. Step 2 was media, where owning CDs and DVDs was totally replaced by, a dozen different streaming services we all pay for? But it's step 3 that's the most unsettling. It's applying this same logic to tangible, physical objects.
Take Peloton, for example. You spend $2,000 on the bike, but if you don't also pay that $44 monthly subscription fee, it's basically just a very expensive, very high-tech rack to hang your clothes on. The whole point of the machine is locked behind a recurring payment.
Or how about this one? HP's Instant Ink program. You own the printer. It's sitting in your home office. But if you decide to cancel your ink subscription, HP can send a remote signal over the internet that just disables it. Even if you still have ink in the cartridge, the printer will literally refuse to print.
And it gets even more extreme than that. John Deere tractors, these massive, expensive machines, are now loaded with software that prevents farmers from doing their own basic repairs. I mean, they own a piece of equipment that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they need a subscription or a dealer's permission just to fix it. It's gotten so bad that there's a huge community of farmers learning how to jailbreak, how to hack their own tractors just to keep their farms running. It's wild.
So what is the actual cost of all this? If we look beyond the whole debate about ownership, there is a real and often hidden financial price we're all paying. And honestly, the numbers might actually shock you.
So get this. The average American now spends $921 a month on all of their subscriptions combined. That's over $11,000 a year, and a lot of that is for things that used to be just a simple one-time purchase.
This chart really tells the whole story. If you look back to 2005, the average person spent about $52 a month on things like CDs, DVDs, stuff you owned forever. Fast forward to today, and that number has nearly tripled to over $152 a month, and it's all for temporary access.
So we are paying way more to own way less.
But here is the really insidious genius of this whole model, at least from the company's perspective. They are literally counting on you to forget. Studies show that a staggering 42% of consumers are paying for subscriptions they don't even use anymore. For these companies, it's free, passive income. For you, it's just a quiet drain on your bank account every month.
You know, this whole thing is so much bigger than just a financial issue. What we're witnessing is a fundamental change in our relationship with the things we buy, with property itself. We are moving into a world where the very concept of personal ownership is being redefined, whether we agree with it or not. And if you think that sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory, it's not. The World Economic Forum actually published an article with that exact headline back in 2016. They did end up deleting it after a ton of backlash, but it shows you that this ideology has really taken root in some powerful corporate and policy circles.
And you can see the real-world consequences of this everywhere. We're talking about life-saving medical devices like insulin pumps that require subscriptions to work fully. Your smart home's basic security features, like storing video from your doorbell, are now locked behind a paywall. And that book or movie you bought on a digital store, it can be, and has been, remotely deleted from your library by the company without your permission.
Which brings us to the absolute core of the issue. We've moved from a world of ownership to a world of licensing. You're not actually buying a product anymore, you're just paying for temporary permission to use it. And that permission? Well, it can be changed or just flat out revoked by the company at any time for any reason they want.
And this really brings us to the central conflict, doesn't it? On one hand, you have a business model that is unbelievably good for corporations and their shareholders. And on the other hand, you have a model that is becoming more and more costly and more restrictive for all of us as consumers.
And the ultimate driver behind all of this is one simple fact. Wall Street absolutely loves predictable, recurring revenue. It's seen as more stable and more valuable than a one-time sale. So corporate strategy is not totally optimized for shareholder value, not for customer ownership. And that's why everything is being shoved into a subscription, whether it makes a lick of sense for the user or not. So this all leads to one final really tough question. We are slowly, subscription by subscription, being conditioned to accept a world of perpetual rent, where we never truly own anything. The market seems to have decided that ownership is a relic of the past. The real question is, at what point do we, the people actually paying for all this, push back? We saw it happen with BMW's heated seats. We're seeing it right now with the farmers' right to repair movement. But for everything else, have we already decided that this is just the way things are now?